So yesterday we discussed few areas. Okay, we started off with understanding the difference between HANA, S4HANA, and Fiori, and we understood HANA is nothing but a database which is actually responsible to store the data in the background. S4HANA is an application which only runs on HANA database. Okay, so whatever transactions you would be able to do whenever you are using SAP to create a purchase order, to create a sales order, okay, to create an invoice, to see the reports. So whatever different transactions you'll be doing, that is nothing but part of the application. Okay, and then Fiori is a new user interface. Okay, so the way which in which you will be able to process the transactions in SAP system, there is a new user interface which is provided by SAP in S4HANA, which will allow you to use the new screens to perform your transactions. So in our next session, next Saturday, most probably, we will be discussing Fiori in detail. I'll be showing you how exactly Fiori screens looks like, how to do some basic transactions using Fiori. That is something that we will see in our next session. So you will get a complete idea of Fiori also. Then we understood, we always say HANA is faster. If you even go to Google and write what is HANA, you will get this answer. It is a high performance software which allows you high performance database which allows you to perform the transactions and your reports faster. But why exactly that is faster? What exactly SAP has done in order to make HANA faster? So we understood HANA is nothing but the in-memory computing database, which means instead of storing the data in the old way in which the data is stored in the hard disk, HANA is capable of storing the data in RAM in addition to hard disk. So we are not saying hard disk is not required, but we are saying that in addition to the hard disk, we will create a copy of data directly in RAM, which will allow us faster reporting. There is some background noise. I'm muting all of you as of now. If you have any questions, you can just unmute and ask your question. Okay, and then we second point that we discussed was column-based data storage. Okay, so I told you normally when we see a table, for us it is the table. Table is nothing but the combination of rows and columns. But internally in the binary form, zeros and ones, how the data is stored, that is something which is completely technical. But what was happening previously is all the other databases, they were storing the data in the form of row-based. Okay, and there are some challenges in row based. For example, row based data cannot be compressed. Okay, number one. And also, it has been proved that column based data storage has faster reporting. And that is the reason SAP S4HANA or SAP HANA database, to be more specific, SAP HANA database allows the data to be stored in rows as well as columns. So most of the SAP standard tables, they are storing the data in the column based form now, due to which the data is getting stored in the compressed form and we are able to perform our report faster. Then multi-core processors, which means SAP HANA uses the latest technology which is available in the market. So there are some certified hardware vendors who are providing the hardware required for implementing HANA. Also, in multi-core processor itself, maybe I missed the one line which is relevant to HANA, is called as parallel processing. Okay, what is parallel processing? So just think about this example. If you are a person and you got 10 different activities to do. Now, obviously, if you do one activity at a time, it will take more time. But if you are able to perform parallel activities, if you can do parallel activities at the same time, you will be able to save the time. Right? Same way, HANA is using parallel processing because HANA is having the new dimensional hardware. HANA is also using column-based data storage. It is in memory. That is the reason HANA is capable of performing multiple things at the same time. So think about this. There are hundreds of users who are trying to book the railway ticket. And if the server is taking one request at a time, it will definitely take time to book the 100 tickets. But if my server is capable to get all those 100 tickets and work parallelly, then what will happen is the tickets will be booked faster. Same way in SAP also, Let's say there are 10 different users who are trying to do some transaction. One user is creating a purchase order, second user is creating a sales order, third user is making the payment. So what happens normally is, if our database is slow, server will take one request at a time. So it will first create a purchase order. Once that is created, then it will go to the sales order, and once that is created, it will go to the payment. But if the parallel processing is in place, what will happen is all these three tasks would be done in parallel. So HANA uses parallel processing. So multiple activities or multiple users can perform business transactions at the same time. Okay, so this is obviously common. I'm not saying that this was not possible in ECC, but the thing is, it was taking a lot of time in the background because system was creating locks. So this is technical, so I'm just writing one liner. Otherwise, if you read this line, you will feel like, oh, SAP, is this a big thing that multiple users are working at the same time? This is not a big thing, but big thing is without creating the locks. What exactly are locks? So although multiple users can work at the same time today also, but what happens is, in the background, system creates a lock so that till the time the first activity is not completed, system will not take the second activity. But now what will happen is, because multiple users can work parallelly without creating the locks, system will be able to perform the business transactions. Okay, so ultimately, what is the benefit of parallel processing? You are achieving your transaction processing, your reporting in a faster time rather than waiting for locks to be released and then you'll be able to do the transaction. Now you can do multiple transactions at the same time. And obviously, we discussed it is having a powerful calculation engine. So if I want to perform my reports related to totals, if I want to count, if I want to take an average of some data, this will be happening within milliseconds. Okay, so that is something why SAP HANA is faster compared to the traditional databases. Also, we discussed that when you deploy SAP S4HANA, SAP provides you three options. To be frank, two options. Third one is a combination of both. So there are two options which are provided by SAP. So if you go to SAP, let's assume you are a customer. Okay, you have your own company, and now you decided that I want to implement SAP. So if you go to SAP, I want to implement SAP. What SAP will tell you is, okay, what would you like to buy? You want to buy the S4HANA on-premise license, or you want to buy S4HANA cloud license? Now, what would be your question? You will ask SAP, can you tell me what are the benefits and drawbacks of both? So SAP will tell you, if you go for on-premise, you have to bear the hardware cost, okay, but it will give you the complete control. You can decide when you want to do the maintenance, you can decide when you want to have the downtime, you can decide when you want to upgrade. So it is completely your system, you decide what you want to do. Even you can write your custom processes also. On the other hand, if you don't want to buy the hardware, you can go for cloud option, in which we will be providing you SAP S4HANA on cloud licenses on the subscription basis. Good thing is, you don't need to waste any time to buy the hardware, because anyways, if you want to buy the hardware, it takes months. It is not like I went to the market and bought the hardware. Hardware also takes a lot of time to come in the companies. So if you want to save that time, if you want to avoid hiring the team of consultants who will be working on maintenance of hardware, so if you want to save all that cost, you can go for cloud. Okay, but the drawback is, it is not the server not belongs to you. Server belongs to SAP. So you are not the owner of that software and hardware. You are just using it on the subscription basis. If any maintenance, any upgrade, you don't have any control on that. And even you cannot create your own custom processes. So these are the drawbacks and advantages of both, based on which you will take a decision that whether I should go for on-premise or I should go for on-cloud. Okay, so these are the two options, just remember, and then I give you one combination. So some products you are using on-premise, for example, S4HANA on-premise, along with Ariba, Hybris, SuccessFactor. In that case, it is called as the hybrid combination. Okay, and then we discussed different types of projects that you will be working in SAP. So you'll be working in the implementation projects, support, rollout, development, upgradation, and system conversion. So throughout this course, we will be discussing all these projects. We will be discussing whenever we are talking about a particular functionality, we will discuss during the implementation related to this functionality what work is involved. If you are working in the support project, what kind of incidents, what kind of tickets you will be getting whenever you will be working on this functionality. Okay, so I hope you got this point. And what we can do now is, if you have any questions till now, just go ahead with the questions. Otherwise, we will start a very interesting topic today, which is SAP HCM methodology. I will first introduce SAP HCM methodology, and then I will compare that SAP HCM methodology with the new methodology which is available in S4HANA called as SAP Activate. As I told you, this is a favorite topic when it comes to the interviews for the freshers, for the beginners. If you are a beginner, definitely you will be asked this question during the interviews.
Hello, Vikram.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so when you say it will not lock when we are trying to process anything in HANA, so two users can perform a same sales order at a time.
See, when we say without creating the locks, this means the if a user is trying to update the sales order, let's assume okay, there is some background noise. Can you just mute me, please?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. See, let's assume you are changing a sales order, okay, and the same sales order I want to change. In that case, system will definitely create a lock because if the system will not create a lock, it will create inconsistency. So I'm not talking about that lock, Akshay. What log I am talking about is what happens normally. Let's say you are working on the sales order and I want to update another sales order. But the problem is because you are already doing something and system is already consuming some space in the database, system will lock my user activity till the time your transaction is not completed. So once your transaction will complete, then only system would be free to process my transaction. So there are two kinds of lock. What I'm talking about is the lock which is related to parallel processing, but the lock which is related to the object. For example, the same sales order should not be updated by two-person at the same time. Otherwise, it will create an inconsistency. I can give you a very good example. Let's say you have 50,000 amount in your bank account, and now on one side you have opened the bank website. On the other side, you have opened the mobile app for that same bank. Now, from both, from website also and from mobile device also, you are trying to send this 50,000 to another bank account. So, if the lock doesn't exist, what will happen? The amount 50,000 would be total 1 lakh would be transferred to the another bank account, which is a big problem. This is called as inconsistency. If I have only 50,000, so even if I use 3, 4, 5 devices, it should not allow me to send more than 50,000. Otherwise, it is a big inconsistency. So in order to avoid that, what happens is if you are already doing a transaction from one device, system normally locks the other transaction to be carried out, which is definitely required. So that lock will remain. But let's assume the 100 users are working on the same banking application. I am doing one transaction. So what happens is when I am doing transaction, system will ask 99s to wait. Okay, and once my transaction is completed, then only the 99th person will come, the 98% will come. Ultimately, it will start doing the activity one by one. So that creates a slowness in the system. So that slowness is not there in SAP HANA because it can perform parallel request at the same time.
Okay.
Understood, right? So you are getting confused with the lock. That lock is definitely required. If someone is making the change in a particular application, that lock is definitely required. Otherwise, it will unnecessarily create a inconsistency.
I have one question, sir.
Yes, Akshay.
In memory computing feature, there is data duplication is carried out due to RAM and ROM.